Hey everyone, how you doing? And welcome to Puzzle Maker's Toolkit. So this is a little asset pack that's very easy to use, and it has a lot of functionality and a lot of little things you can use to really build like a little environmental puzzle into your game. And it doesn't matter if it's like an FPS game, a top-down game, or a third-person game, because most of these stuff is really totally independent of the player actually. So first of all, let's walk through a little bit of the demo level to see a little bit what you can do. So the first puzzle we have here, this is a flying sword. I know it doesn't look like a sword, but it actually is. As you can see, just hovering there, and if I come close, it actually tries to attack me. And what I'm gonna do is, if it attacks, I dodge it, and it makes damage to that player over there. If it hits you, of course, it also makes damage. And now, as you can see, this door opens because this actor has been triggered. So now here's a simple trigger, like this is a button, I step on it, and now this one starts moving. These are simply looping platforms, so you just put them in place and they will just loop, and you can also randomize it, so they are not always the same. Just a little extra. Alright, and then here we have the same flying swords, but as you can see, they don't attack me, except now they're basically triggered when I, if I trigger this here, as you can see now they're like looking at me and attacking me, and as you can see, they are also randomized a little bit when they attack. Of course, you can turn that off if you want. This is a simple elevator. If you step on it, it goes in. On my left mouse button, I actually make damage right in front of me, and these cubes are basically when they get damage, they kind of like turn around. And of course, at the moment, it's set up to damage because it's an easy way to kind of like communicate with the actor. But all these actors are set up so you can change it. So they don't always have to trigger on damage. You can exchange that with your own interaction system very, very easily. I'll show you that later. So this is kind of like, however you want. And at the moment, these are set up like whenever I rotate them, they change the light. So, and I want both of them to have the green light on, and that means they're basically active. And if both are active, this platform comes and picks me up. You can see here. So, and as you can see here, we have something a little bit more complicated because what happens now is basically if I trigger this, he goes over there, but I have to trigger him 2 times because these are basically stompers. I show you that here. So first it goes down, second time I trigger him, it goes down, and he's also on a timer. That means if I go here, I wait a little bit now, and as you can see here, we have a little like indicator. Okay, maybe I have to go there. And as you can see, here's the timer, so I'm a little bit on the time limit. So what I do first now is if I have this trigger, I want to activate this platform first to go over there, but it only activates if I have this trigger active and this trigger. So, and these are also on the timer, as you can see. So I do this, and I run over here, and now this goes over and I can go over there. And here's the same thing. If I have this one on green, this platform will go up, and I have to do this one the second time, the second trigger, and then I have to go over and trigger the other one because they're both on a timer on the last one. That means now I go here, 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 and I know the next one is green, then it goes up. So I trigger this, go over. This should go up, and now fastly go here, trigger this, and now the door opens. And now it should, it closes because the triggers are stopped. So it's also inbuilt like that. All actors that can actually move by a trigger can also reset. And as you can see here, we have like the system is basically separate in keepers, and then here we have the main gate. So these are like local gates, and this is the main gate, and you can specify certain keepers to be important for the main gates, and only if all keepers for the main gate are activated, the main gate will actually open. Okay, and all these assets, as you can see at the moment, I'll show you that other in a second. All these actors have like only boxes, right? And these can easily be exchanged for any other asset you want. And then here we have some things, like here we have like a wall that moves in place, and we have some other things. I think I just broke it, maybe, for some reason. Let's check here. Only once. Once. Can go here. We want all of them to reset. Reset delay is maybe 5 seconds. So and now what we also have is like a little bit more of an extra. So as you can see here, the trigger I made visible, but you don't have to. So we have first panels that move into place. So that could be like a wall that comes up and also resets. Let's just wait a few seconds. As you can see, they go back into place. So this is kind of like a nice little asset. And you can position them however you want. At the moment, it's very extreme how they move, but you can also like have them just around here and then they move forward or something like this. So very versatile. And then here we have a wall that just goes like in, and then after a while it goes back, right? So these are, what happened there? Well, I still a couple of bugs, but they will be sorted once I upload the package. So this is basically what you can get, and all of these actors are very easy to manipulate and like change to your level, right? So they are very versatile and you can do like a lot of stuff with it. But yeah, now let's take a look at how to actually work with the system. So we have here two things. We have the puzzle maker and we have to move it there. So move it there. If we go blueprint, it's here the flying sword. There's this one. So let's maybe first take a look at this. Here you can say what kind of damage. A max wait time is basically when it's activated to attack the player. How it has basically a boolean, it has basically a random number between 0 and whatever number you put in here. So if you put here, like for example, 5 seconds, the player has like a 5-second waiting period where he could be attacked between these 5 seconds. And we have max distance is basically in what distance the sword will attack the player. Okay. Then we have here a damage trigger. So when this player gets damaged, this trigger gets damaged, you can set here unlock and lock sound for each and every single trigger. Relock duration is basically if you say, okay, it resets. Here you say after blah 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 seconds it will reset. And most importantly, puzzle keeper. We come to that in a second. So here you can say basically each keeper that will be triggered by this actor. And this is the most important because the trigger is actually what makes what sends a signal, okay, this trigger has been activated or this lock has been locked. Because we can have also multiple triggers that are needed to create one lock. For example, let's go there now. So if we go to, first let's finish the move it there components. We have moving walls. These are these over here, right? You can just, if you have one here, as you can see here, this is the first position and this white box will be deleted at the beginning of play, but it's just so you know basically where it will stop at the end, right? So you have here end and start. Start is normally just 0, 0, 0, and end is basically where it should end once it is triggered. And if we go here, we have the same parameters: resets after so-and-so delays, and start and reset multipliers for platform is basically how fast it moves. The higher the number, the faster the platform moves into position, right? And trigger delay is basically, you can say, if this actor is triggered, after 2 seconds it is actually triggered, right? You send the trigger, and after 2 seconds or 1 second the action will be performed. And this is the same thing for everything. For here, for the elevator, you know, you always have this trigger delay and all the same variables. And if you go here, do not touch, please don't touch it, but floor and everything below it is open season. So you can always go in here and change whatever mesh you want to have there, right? So you're not bound to these assets, and the same goes here. So here, for example, are 3 blocks, and you can exchange these for whatever, right? So if you have like a round statue, like for example in Tomb Raider, you know, where you have to turn it, and on each side is maybe a specific symbol, and you have to line up the symbols perfectly. You can do that, for example, with these, where you say, hey, we have like 2 or 3 rotating actors on top of each other, right? And you want to have a specific outline. I'll come to these in a second, and then they trigger it. That's what you can do, right? By just changing the meshes. And then here, moving platforms. Basically, we have the looping platforms. That's right here. We have the up and down. This is this one. So he goes down. And if you say he resets, after reset, he goes back into position. And this is basically triggered when you walk onto it. You see this little box here. This is the trigger when the player walks into it. And then we have here the moving platform. If you can see here, it can reset, it can step on trigger. So you can do it basically similar to the moving platform. But if you don't have this enabled, it is basically triggered with a trigger. Okay, so you can just here have it to the to the keeper, and then he sends it to this, and he will activate it. But let's actually now go to the actual puzzle components, so you actually know what I'm talking about. So we have, maybe let's start with the keeper. So keeper are basically lock manager, if you want to have it like this. So you have, for example, here a puzzle keeper, right? As you can see, a number of locks. So you can say when these 2 are activated, as you can see here, they have a puzzle keeper platform, and this is puzzle keeper platform. So each trigger is 1 lock, right? So you have 1, 2, and if both of them send a signal to the keeper, he will actually send a signal to the platform, right? Can lock again means that this platform can actually relock. So after, if one of these triggers, as you can see, they reset after 5 seconds. If they are reset after the main action of this one is finished, he will actually go back to the starting position. The same goes with the gates. If you can say, let's see, here's a gate. Here's a gatekeeper, right? As you can see here, 1 lock is required, and it opens these 2 gates, right? Here, the number of gates. And what you want to do is basically you want to make sure that, how to say, you know, that you are sure, like, can lock again, yes or no, because that's kind of important. Because otherwise, it basically determines if these gates are constantly open or not. Okay. And yeah, as you can see here, we have several things. We have also like a spawner. I already have that set up for you. So basically what you can do is, if you say this keeper and this keeper, this trigger and this trigger and unlock this keeper, he will spawn something. So you can have here an actor, and this actor will actually spawn at that position. We can maybe actually do that. maybe let's just say we spawn something that has actually a mesh. Let's say, where's it? Let's just say here. Let's just say a panel. For example, you can like spawn keys and stuff like this. Okay. So now we add these two, and then we go here. As you can see, you can just pick with it like this, and we want to spawn here, and number of locks should be 2, right? And we don't need it to trigger the platform because the other one does it already. And yeah, can lock again doesn't really matter. Oh, it doesn't matter in this case, because after if you unlock this can lock again, he can actually always spawn the object again. If you don't do it, he will not spawn it again. And here's, of course, this is also very important, counts toward the main gate. And it is the same thing, it can lock again. That means you can have a trigger that is basically unlocks the main gate, but that can lock again, and then the main gate cannot open, you know? So you can have like a timed challenge where you have to unlock it and then run to the main gate and stuff like this. But actually now check it out. Push it over here so we don't have to do that again. So now in theory, if I go on here and go on here, nothing happens. Why? Well, doesn't happen for some reason. Yeah, I will figure it out. It will be okay on. So, okay. And as you can see here, we have already several. Oh, we can actually delete this maybe. Yes. So, and as you can see here, oops. Oh, so, and as you can see here, I already did some different kind of keepers. This is the main keeper, and you always make a child blueprint of that. Okay, that's very important because if you want to have here any keepers to be like targeted, they need to have the blueprint of this one. So if you want to change it, you're gonna create a child blueprint. And if we go in here, we can check what we can how we can actually target this. We can open both. Okay, so we have the platform. As you can see here, I created a variable for the platform, and then move it is basically the interface you call for the platforms to move. Okay, so this is basically an event inside the platform, and that kind of works. And then we have here like, unlocks after 7 seconds, like that you can do trigger it again, right? This just keeps preventing it from triggering while this platform is still moving. Okay, and yeah, this is basically a secondary unlock events, is it's what it's called. So because what the trigger is also doing is, like, for example, communicating with this main gate, or doing other stuff, right? Like the local gates and stuff like this. So what you want to do is you want to call the event serve a secondary unlock event, and here you can code whatever you want to do that the keeper can do. So you can insert your own code to it. Okay, so that's very versatile, and the same system applies actually for all the other ones. So let's now take a look at the trigger. If we go in here, we have here the base triggers, right? Actually, the base triggers here, you want to make a child blueprint of that, but here are the main base triggers that I created. We have the switch, we have the stomper, we have the rotational trigger, and the damage trigger, right? Let's take a look at the damage trigger. As you can see here you can exchange your interaction with the trigger. At the moment, each of these triggers are triggered with damage, because this is like the easiest for the demo to kind of like communicate with an actor. But if you have an interaction system, you can just go in here and change it. For example, here is the same rotational, right? So if you hit it, something will happen. As you can see here, oh, many things happen, right? Of course, you can change the code in here, but as you can see here, we have adjusted. I already did some adjustment, and here you can see how you can basically make a child blueprint of this, create child blueprint, and then you can target stuff in here. For example, as you can see here, setup lights is here. Setup lights is in the beginning. I'm gonna come to that in a second. And here, event per rotation. So you can basically say here we have 4 rotations. So basically, 90 degrees always, and then starts again. And in each one of these, you can code your own stuff. What I do at the moment is only to say, hey, turn the light this color, blah, 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 blah. But as you can see here, if we actually select one, oh, we don't need these anymore. If we select this one, Puzzle Keeper does the same thing. We have a keeper that we target, needed rotation. So you can say, is it a rotation 0 to 3, right? So 0 degree, 90 degree, 80 degree. You can also say random rotation, and then he will choose a rotation at random that you then need to solve, and then stop on solved. So what you can do is when you have the right rotation, you don't want the player to be able to actually change it again. So it locks into place and the player cannot do anything, right? We can also go for the stomper, for example. Here you call event locks. So you can say event lock 1 is basically the first lock, right? So the neutral position. The second lock is the one when you hit it once, and the third lock is when you hit it the third time. And as you can see here, I have 2 actors, right? And they are different stompers, right? So if we go in here, this code looks a lot different than this one. And the same with the switch. If you want to say here, unlocked state and locked state, you can say, okay, what happens if I unlock it, or if it locks again? You can always go in and call these events. You can just go in here and check what I did there and what events I called. But you can of course also go into the code and see here, okay, where are some events happening here per rotation and stuff like this. But yeah, it's pretty straightforward. You just call these events, make a child blueprint of these, drop them in, and they can literally do everything. All right, so these keepers, so the same principle for the keepers and for the triggers, that you have a primary event that is sending the signal, but then you have also these other events that you can call in the child blueprints that then do whatever you want. Okay. Same goes for gates, and the main gates is all automatic. You only have to basically switch this. And in the keepers, I think I mentioned it, I hope. In the keepers, you can always say here, counts toward the main gate. And you don't have to actually set it in the main gate. The main gate will scan every puzzle keeper at the beginning of play and checks, okay, does it count towards the main gate, and then we'll make it count. And then if it said, okay, I find 3 keepers with counts towards main gate, the lock number here will be 3, and if all 3 keepers are unlocked, the main gate will open for you. Okay, and then last but not least, I think, let's see, we have a reactor. It's very simple, so you can just copy it and do it basically whatever you want to do. But this is basically the line that gets drawn from here to here at the beginning of play when this one is triggered. When this one is triggered, sorry. So you kind of can show the player, oh, maybe go over there, or maybe that's the next step, and then one last thing that's very important is you need the global puzzle coordinator in your theme. Just one, just drop it in there. It does not a lot of stuff, but it does important stuff, because this is basically what counts and checks for the main gate. Okay. So just drop one in. And here, of course, you can also code in other stuff and whatever, you know. Here, event puzzle locked. You can also like say, okay, whenever a gate is locked, that it counts toward the main gate. You can, you know, plug in here and do your code, whatever you want to do, right? So it's a very open system. It's easy to set up, and I think it's a very nice addition to any game to have like this little environmental puzzle that you can add and throw in here and there in your level. It's a robust system. I use it for my own game as well. So I hope you enjoy it. And yeah, if there's any question, you know, just drop me a line and I see what I can do. Have fun with it.